to Kind Hearts, Strong Souls podcast, where reality and courage take the mic and hope leads the way.
The conversation of three friends united by work and held together by mutual care and support. Join Jodi as she moves through the challenges of a cancer diagnosis. The conversation is frank and honest, while also being caring and supportive. The voices explore the real pain and fear of cancer, the strength of faith and friendship and hope and optimism that shines even in life's darkest hours. Whether you're a survivor, a supporter, or simply someone in need of inspiration, this conversation will remind you that even when the road is very hard, hope is harder to break. Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of season 2. And we are very privileged to have a close friend of Jodi's here today. She occupies kind of two places in the schemes of Kind Hearts, Strong Souls. One is that she's a friend and a caring friend and a good friend to Jodi. But the other is that she has been a caregiver for someone who has had cancer, her husband, Andy. And so we're going to be talking about sort of both those sides of her life and what her journey has been like. So Jodi and Brenda are going to kind of lead the podcast today. I'm going to go do man stuff, change the oil in the truck or something like that. And I'll see you at the end of the podcast. Jodi, how are you?
Good, Ken. Thank you so much. That was very funny. Oh, hi, Brenda. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Yeah, so today we're going to talk with my very, very good friend, Bridget Homan. Bridget is, I met Bridget through my daughter, actually, when she started preschool. Bridget's daughter, Anna, and my daughter, Danielle, were in the same class and became fast friends and are still fast friends to this day. And so Bridget and I and Andy, her husband, Andy, and Steven kind of started just hanging out. We had the same vibe. We loved the same things. The girls were great together. It was just it felt like a natural union for both of us. And we were both, I mean, I don't know about Bridget, but we were new to Starksboro. We probably had just moved to Starksboro 2 or 3 years before Danielle started preschool. And so we didn't know anybody, honestly. So it was nice to finally meet some folks married, had a lovely daughter. All of our interests were the same.
Right down the road.
Literally, like we could take a 4-wheeler from my backyard to hers. So it was really nice. And so Bridget and I have been friends ever since 9 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yes, our girls are both 28.
28.
My Anna
Yeah.
will turn 28 this
In
summer.
August. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a great friendship. And Andy also was a big part of our lives. And we're going to start talking about Andy a little bit and his journey. Andy was diagnosed with cancer. I'm not going to tell you his story because I really don't know it as well as Bridget does. So I'm just going to let Bridget tell you Andy's story, how he was diagnosed with cancer, what kind of cancer he had, what his remission looked like, and then after that, and then we'll just start asking her some questions about her role as, his spouse and his caregiver, and still being a mother. And, a lot like every caregiver, you're thrown this role that you never expected you would be in. And how do you navigate that? And so it's nice to have Bridget on to talk about how she navigated that journey, because I was part of that journey with her, but I just didn't know a lot about it. And Bridget's going to explain a lot about that. So, Bridget, hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, yeah, I didn't anticipate, when Jodi first asked me if I wanted to do this podcast, I right off the bat said, sure. And the closer it got, and then Jodi sent me the questions just a couple, either yesterday or the day before. And I was surprised at all the old emotions and how hard this was going to be for me, but that didn't stop me from wanting to do it. So here's Andy's story. Andy was diagnosed with lung cancer in March of 2014. He had gone into the hospital for kidney stone surgery. And through that process, they discovered the cancer. He immediately had an operation for the cancer, or as soon as he was recovered enough from the kidney stone cancer. And they thought there was a good chance they had removed it all, but then it was discovered that there were some cancer cells in the lymph nodes, which, as we all know, is not a good thing.
So his first surgery was in his lungs?
Well, yes.
After the kidney stone
After the
procedures.
kidney
Yeah.
stone,
yeah.
yes. They removed the tumor.
Okay.
And Andy was not a smoker,
Oh,
so everyone knows.
I mean,
yeah.
he was, not to say he never smoked a cigarette.
Right,
He was
but he's-
very casual. He was never a pack-a-day smoker. He would maybe, when he played golf, enjoy a cigarette or something. So, so after he was operated on, because they found the cancer cells in the lymph nodes, he underwent chemo and radiation for probably 6 months or so. They started him on a chemo that really didn't turn out to be as effective as, well, let me back up. In December of 2014, the cancer came back in his spine. We first thought Andy said, my neck hurts, and then it had come back. So at that point, the plan of attack was to go on a drug called Tarceva, which they had really honed in on Andy's cancer cells as far as the mutation and all that. And through that, they asked Andy, did you work around chemicals? Andy says, no, I'm an IT guy. And they suggested that we have they asked us if we had ever had our house tested for radon. And we said no. And so they suggested we do that. We did that through the state. It's free. And it came back that the radon level was high in our house. Andy worked in the finished basement of our house. He worked at home full time. So radon is heavily concentrated in the lower parts of your house, meaning the basement. So that was a blow to us. We immediately had radon mitigation done, which really is for people out there, please get your house tested. The mitigation system is easy to install. It works. So in December, the cancer returned. He went on a drug called Tarceva, first-line treatment for his mutation. That put him in remission for 3 years, which was wonderful. He felt great. You wouldn't even know he had cancer. The doctors said, the cancer will eventually outsmart the Tarceva. So we knew that.
Oh.
But you still have hope. You don't give up hope. You're like, well, maybe he can be the exception to the rule, or maybe they'll come out with another medication,
Right.
because you know how the drugs, they're constantly coming out with new medications and treatments. And so the remission was wonderful. And then came scan time again, which Jodi can relate. Andy would be scanned every 3 or 4 months during his remission, and then came the scan in 2016. I think it was June of 2016 that there were some spots, which was not good. So they tried a second round of treatment with different drugs. And it was all downhill from there, from that point. The final 2 years of his life were filled with operations and emergency room visits. And so that's the background of Andy's cancer. He passed in October of 2019. So 5 years roughly after he was first diagnosed.
Well, you're very courageous to share your story and Andy's story, and
Thank you.
and thank you very, very much. It's unbelievable to think about those 5 years for you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to see you two together. We've never had our special guest star be in the same place as our other superstar. And Jodi, by the way, you look absolutely
Doesn't he
beautiful
look
today.
great? Oh,
You're
thank you.
glowing like you always do, but you're like, I'm like, I don't know if it's sun-kissed or what it is, but I have to mention it so that we're going to be on video soon, audience, but today we are not just audio today, but we have some plans to do some videos before we all do our migrations, different places for the winter. So anyway, um, I can't thank you enough for joining us, Bridget, and for
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
yeah. And I wonder if it's okay to ask questions and try to dig
Yes.
in maybe a little bit more.
Yes.
When you look back at, shifting gears to caregiver and all those years of caregiving, what moments stand out? And it could be something as beautiful or something brutally hard. Is there something that just stands out for you during that
Well,
time?
when Andy was first diagnosed, he did not want to tell anybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I couldn't tell my family, out of respect for Andy's wish for privacy. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody until the cancer recurred in December of 2014. So those, between March and January or December, I felt very alone with
Wow, yes.
my emotions. Now, I mean, Andy did tell our daughter, of course. She was 16 at the time.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was a sophomore in high school. And of course, she was devastated. Andy swore her to secrecy. But Jodi divulged to me today that Anna did tell Danielle, which I'm glad.
Yeah, she needed
support.
she needed a support
Yeah.
person her
Yeah.
age up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were best friends, and naturally they and then, we found out as well at the same time, only because they both wanted our support if they should need it. But we never told Bridget we knew. So it was one of those deals where, we were just really on board for Anna at that point.
Yeah.
I couldn't be on board with Bridget because I wasn't supposed to know. So it's hard as a friend not to support her through that. And eventually I was allowed into the loop, and so then I could help her and Andy actually. So
Yeah. And, remember that when Andy was first diagnosed and had the operation, and he was, feeling positive that maybe he was going to beat this. So he just preferred to keep it all private.
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, because we were talking a little bit earlier, Bridget, about when Andy, his last day, and you were saying that, he, in his mind, well, why don't you talk about that, about Andy's last day?
Andy's last few months, or actually Andy's last like 8 or 9 months, he started all of a sudden fainting.
Oh,
First, he'd just drop, and then he'd come right back. And we thought, you're standing up too fast. You gotta, or it's the medications. Well, those episodes, as we came to call them, started happening more frequently, to the point where, and when they would happen, he would be out, like unconscious, for longer periods of time, almost like a seizure,
yeah.
kind of. The doctors could not figure out, they hooked up his brain, they hooked up his heart, they could not figure out what was causing these episodes. So the last few months of Andy's life, he went into the hospital in early September, and he was there for 2 weeks. While there, I was, told that he was going to die any day. He didn't. So he wanted to come home. He came home and was home for 3 weeks before he passed. And I'm so thankful that I was with him when he passed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the type of cancer death that you envision, where he's in bed for days and days and in the dying process. The morning that he died, we were watching TV together out in the living room, and he said, I'm going to go lay down. So I walked into the bedroom with him, and he sat down on the edge of the bed, and I'm self-employed, and so my office was upstairs. So I said, Andy, I'm going to be up in my office, and just give a holler if you need anything. Well, I was up there no more than 5 or 10 minutes when I just got this feeling that I need to go check to see how Andy is. And when I walked into the room, he had gone into one of these episodes. He was trying to put his socks on, and so one sock was on, one sock was off, and his legs were over the side of the bed, and he had just slumped back onto the pillows and was breathing very, very heavily, which was common for these episodes. And when he would go into these episodes, I would just hold him. He would be sweating profusely, so I would get a cold wash rag and just kind of just be there for him. And towards the end of his life, I would say, Andy, it's okay to let go, and so this final episode, he took a final breath in, never let it out, and that was it. He had passed. So I didn't get to, be there with him when he first went into the episode, but I was with him when he died, and when he passed. And I know a lot of these questions, I'm kind of getting into answering some of the.
Good. No,
But okay.
yeah.
my immediate reaction was relief that his pain was over. I didn't, I call, he had visiting nurses coming in at that point. He wasn't in hospice because in order to be, he was under palliative care at that point, even though he was considered dying, because Andy didn't want to give up the option of resuming chemo. And when you're in a hospice situation, you have to have given up all treatment. And he couldn't bring himself to say, I'm that okay. When he first passed, I called the visiting nurse, and it took her about 45 minutes to get to the house. And all I did was hold him. I just stayed with him. I didn't call anybody. And which probably sounds kind of bizarre, but I really wanted to wait until he was pronounced, even though I knew he was gone. But part of it was like, I just wanted to just share that time with him alone. And then once the visiting nurse came and pronounced him, and shortly after she pronounced him, his phone rang, and it was on the side of, on his night table, and it was our daughter. And I answered the phone, and she's like, "Hey, where's Papa?" And I had to tell her that Papa had died. And she was in college. She was in New Hampshire. So, she wasn't close to home. I mean, she was 2.5 hours from home. But the poor girl was walking to class when she had called. And she immediately went and found some friends. And so that was the hardest phone call of my life.
Do you think Anna called? Do you think she felt something? And that's why she called at that time, or did she have a habit of calling you guys at that time?
I don't know. She was so cheerful when I picked up the phone.
Yeah.
It's Papa, So
But just hearing the order and sequence and the time that you got to be with Andy, and then the nurse getting there, and then it feels like God made it perfect
yes,
for you.
that's what I
I
feel
mean,
like.
that's how it comes across. It's
And once he was
beautiful.
pronounced, and I had, Anna knew, then I started calling my sisters and Andy's siblings. Andy was one of 7 children. And and then the house started filling up.
Yeah.
But I was so glad that I had that time with him. I just held him, and yeah, some tears were shed, but I can't say it was 45 minutes of me sobbing while I was holding him. It was more of, I love you, Andy. I'm glad you're out of pain.
Wow.
I'm still here. I'm still here for you.
Yeah. And to this day, she's still here for him. She honors him. I know this is one of the questions that we're going to ask her, but why not ask her now? About, how do you keep honoring Andy every day, and cherishing his memories, and all the good times you had, because you and Andy were together since college, right?
No, actually, we met. I was Andy's boss.
Oh,
It was a scandal.
Sure.
I was the accounting manager in a bank, and I hired Andy was a teller, had come in as a teller, and he had just come to Vermont. Excuse me. Oh, because his family has a cabin up in Barton, Vermont, that's been in the family for 4 generations. I just lost my train of thought.
How you met? It sounds like you hired him.
So,
Yeah, and
so I hired him to work in the accounting department, and we ended up falling in love. And long story short, we ended up getting married, and he left the bank and went to another company, and all was fine. So that was yeah. So
but how do you honor him today
Yes.
in his spirit? I know personally, when I go to Bridget's house, Andy's everywhere. There's pictures of him everywhere. His urn is visible. When Bridget has events or gatherings with people who come over, she loves to have people over. She'll bring Andy out and put him front and center, and we all love it. She has a big in her kitchen, a big pipe for her stove or whatever, and there's a picture of Andy right on it. And so, you know, for me, it's lovely to walk into her house and see all these memories of Andy because I loved him as a friend, and we had special times together, the two of us. And so I love that she's still honoring his memory in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other ways.
Yeah. Well, and the picture that Jodi's talking about, it's when I'm sitting in my spot on the couch, as Sheldon Cooper would say, it's my spot.
Yeah.
That picture is 5 feet from me and I can see it. The picture was taken on the day that we brought our daughter to her freshman year of college, and which was and it happened to be my birthday. So it was a very emotional day. And instead of going right home after we dropped Anna off at college, we spent a night at the Mount Washington Resort, which I don't know if you know of that place, but the movie The Shining, the exterior of Mount Washington Resort was in that movie. So it's this big old estate. And we had dinner there. And during dinner, I took a picture of him. And he was holding up his giant, he had ordered a bottle of wine all for himself because I didn't drink wine. And they brought out this giant wine glass. So he was holding onto this wine glass and smiling. And he had his baseball cap on, which he always had a baseball cap on, even though we were in this, nice fancy restaurant. He had his polo shirt on with a t-shirt under it, which was classic Andy. And I happened to take that picture of him. And it's almost like he's, toasting. We did it, our girl, so that picture, just looking at that picture, I know exactly what date it was taken. And I talked to, I talked to him. And I also I never deleted all the texts that Andy and I had. And there's a group text that was me, Andy, and Anna, her daughter. And I will not often, but every once in a while, I'll go back and these texts go back years. I'm the type that never, I never want to delete these texts, even though they're taking up immense memory in my phone. And a couple months after Andy died, I was looking at our texts between Andy and me, and I typed, "I miss you," and I hit send. And damned if I didn't get a reply that said, "Who dis?" WHODIS. Who dis? And I'm like, oh my God. And I said, "I'm so sorry. This was my husband's phone number. I didn't realize it would be, given out to somebody else." And I said, "I won't bother you again." And of course, he's honored on his birthday and our anniversary this year. I am not a religious person. I don't have a deep faith that there's life after death. I hope that there's life after death, and I hope I get to be with Andy on some plane somewhere. I envy Jodi for her strong strength. But our anniversary this year, I happened to go to the grocery store, and one thing I bought was a bag of potatoes. And on my way out of the store, I bought a scratch-off lottery ticket. So I get home and I scratch off the ticket. It was a $100 winner. I started making dinner. The first potato that I pulled out of the bag was shaped like a heart. I've never seen a heart-shaped potato. And my daughter had given me this this, it's a gnome with a cardinal sitting on its shoulder, and it's a solar, so the cardinal will light up at night. Well, it was in the middle of the day, and the cardinal was lighting up. And so, I I I see those as signs. I told my sisters all about them, and my older sister said, Bridget, I have chills running through my body right now. But when sometimes when I wish I could feel his presence, and I'm like, and I don't. But somewhere I have some faith that I will be with him again in some respect someday, spiritually, and that's my hope.
Yeah, and you don't have to have faith to see the signs. I'm just
No.
saying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
They come in all different ways.
And the three of us have so much faith that it must pour out of us and it must rub off because I already know, you're going to see him in heaven. I know it.
Oh,
Me
I
too.
thank
just
you.
do. I mean, I just love the way you told your story and your love and to feel relief and not feel selfish for yourself when his first moment after he was gone. That's so unselfish.
Well,
To not want him to suffer anymore. Oh,
Yeah.
not think of yourself. Like,
and
I don't know.
he, right up to the end, the night before he passed, my brother-in-law, who owned a landscaping business, he mowed lawns, he called and offered to come mow our lawn. We had bought, we had finally bought Andy a riding lawnmower when we moved into the new house. And he was thrilled with it. And he did get to use it a few times. He was only in the new house for 11 months. So we moved into the house in November. He died the following October. So we had one summer at the house. And my brother-in-law called and said, I can come mow your lawn. And we were both sitting in the living room, and I said to Andy, Jeff says he can come and mow the lawn tomorrow. And keep in mind, this was the day before Andy died. And Andy got upset and said, I will be mowing my own lawn when I am better, and I am almost there. Andy was the type that didn't like talking about his cancer, didn't like sharing any emotions that he was feeling about his cancer. When friends would ask him, how are you doing? His stock answer was, all is well, when all was not well.
But he never gave up,
He
right?
never
He was
gave up.
always
He
fighting, and
never gave
he
up.
was thinking he was going to have another round of chemo, and yeah.
He was hoping, but at the same time, I think the visiting nurse, when the visiting nurse was at our house the final 3 weeks of his life, they would come and go. They came a couple times a week, but would always come if I called them and needed them at any time. They came once, and Andy asked, all three of us were in the bedroom, and Andy asked if he could speak. He wanted to speak to the visiting nurse by himself. And so I left the room and shut the door and went out into the living room. And of course, I asked the visiting nurse afterwards if she would be willing to share what he had said with me. And he had asked her if his death was going to be painful. He had told her that he was worried about Anna and myself. So, his mind, part of him knew he was dying, but part of him refused to give up.
He didn't want to let anyone else know, right? Like, he didn't
Well,
want you to worry.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And he asked me at one point, are you guys, in our marriage, I was the one that did all the cooking, all the house cleaning, all the finances. So when Andy got sick, it wasn't like I all of a sudden had to take on these roles that I wasn't already doing, but I had to take on, the extra role of caregiver. He asked me shortly before he died, are you going to be okay financially? And I said, yes. And he was the type,
Oh,
I always handled the finances. We did well with our investing and saving. And every once in a while he would say, how much money do we have? And I would tell him, but he had no interest in any of it. But he wanted to make sure that we were going to be okay financially, which we were, and I'm fine. I think I kind of lost track of, did I
No, you
go
didn't
off
at all.
tangent?
No,
So
no.
yeah, he never gave up. He never gave up.
Good for him.
Yeah.
How do you rebuild your life after that? And like what,
Yeah.
things are different now without Andy. And you
Diff-
did say that you did all the housework and all that anyway, so that probably doesn't change at
Right.
all.
Right.
But how did you rebuild your daily life after you lost
Yeah.
Andy?
I mean, the week or so after he passed, it's a flurry of activity. It's, people coming to the house and
Yeah.
and Andy, during his illness, neither of us had filled out the Vermont directives, the health directives, and Andy kept putting it off and putting it off. And I said, Andy, why don't I sit down with you and I'll read you the question. I know I'm going off tangent here.
No.
you're fine.
Okay. And so he had taken some of his medical marijuana and he was open to me reading him the questions, and we got it all filled out. I mean, he wanted Chef's Corner to cater his celebration of life. He didn't want a funeral. He wanted to be cremated. So all, end of life directives. One of the more emotional moments that it's just very vivid in my mind is in the hospital, his last time in the hospital, and him signing his DNR. And just how, what was, he looked at me and then he just signed it. And
And he didn't hesitate, but it made you feel
I mean, we had
talked about it.
about through doing his health directive that, he didn't want any heroic measures, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But yet, when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
to sign your own DNR,
Yeah.
but typical Andy, he signed it and that was that. And so rebuilding my day-to-day life, I had been doing yoga before
Nice.
Andy passed. I had to put my membership on hold during his last final months because I just had to be with him all the time. A week after he died, I started back up with my yoga. I remember the owner of the yoga studio saying, I can't believe you're here after a week. And I was like, well, it's been a long journey, and I need this. I need
Good.
to start. I can't just be sitting at home and cleaning out his closet and cleaning out his office. And so I started my yoga back up. I started working because being self-employed, you really don't, I mean, my clients were very understanding, but also shortly I started working right back up the following week. I wasn't working part-time at that point, and I did some soul searching and decided to cut back on my client base and the hours that I was working, which was really, I'm so glad I did that. And Anna, she was in her senior year of college when Andy died, and of course she came home when he passed and was home for maybe a week. And then, she went back to college. I mean, Anna, unfortunately, shut down emotionally when Andy died. I'll never forget her walking into the house when she got to the house after he died. And I went to hug her, and she just kind of not pushed me away, but just kind of rebuffed the hug. And she just couldn't deal with her emotions. And it wasn't until the year anniversary of his death, she came home. It happened to be on a weekend. She came home, and she had graduated college, but was not living at home at that point. And in the middle of the night, she came into my bedroom. It was probably 3 a.m. and she was sobbing uncontrollably. And she said, "Mama, I'm so angry. I'm so sad." Her wall had come tumbling down, her emotional wall, which was very hard to see, but at the same time, very good to see. So her and I, we're very close, my daughter and I. We love doing things together. We talk about Andy a lot. Anna, over the years, with her cell phone, Andy was a very funny guy, just type B personality with the best dry sense of humor ever. And Anna had taken over the years many little video snippets, and they might only be 10 seconds long, of him just doing something, crazy, not funny. And so I have all of these little video snippets that I can look at, and laugh and cry, because they're all funny, but you cry because you miss that. I miss the laughter. I miss laughing with him.
Yeah, there has to be one or two pictures with the horse head. I'm just throwing that out there. Andy had this plasticky rubber horse. It was a rubber horse head, literally a horse head, like you're looking from the side of it. And he would go to the grade school dance parties and walk in with a suit and the horse head on.
And he's been to a wedding with the horse. We have pictures of him dancing at a wedding with the horse head.
The horse head has been passed around a lot. But yeah, the horse head is a big thing of Andy's that
He thinks he's incognito, but everyone knows it's
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the suit.
That's
the
awesome.
perfect yin to my yang, because I tend to be more a type A personality, and but I've learned, I must say, one thing I've learned from Andy and is that, worrying is just not the most productive thing in the world.
Gets nowhere.
I'm very capable of getting things done and managing my life, and so why worry about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you and Anna seem so strong and so healthy to be able to just pick up your life after a week. She went back to school, you went back to yoga, you took care of yourself. It's inspirational, and I know the audience and our followers are gonna, be able to obtain really good things. It's so important to take care of yourself, and
especially as a caregiver,
as
because
a caregiver,
because you're so invested in taking care of the person that you're caregiving for that you tend to forget about yourself. And
the caregiver life kind of gets put on hold.
Yes.
If you, I want to ask one more question, and then we're going to do lightning questions.
Okay.
Lightning round.
If you could speak to your younger self, and the one that was in the middle of your caregiving, what would you tell yourself?
I remember feeling very anxious about how am I going to react upon Andy's death? Am I going to just fall apart? am I going to be able to, handle it? And feeling very nervous about that. And realizing at the end, it was kind of a silly thing to worry, not silly, but I was okay. And I, felt proud of myself in a way that I got through this, and I took care of Andy, and I tried to make his life as normal as possible when things are totally abnormal around you.
Yeah, and you did it with minimal support because you
I
couldn't tell
didn't-
anybody.
And I didn't
So-
ask, I'm not the type of person to ask for help,
No.
which I really advise caregivers, don't be afraid to ask for
Yeah.
help.
Good.
But she is the first one to raise her hand if you need
To help you,
True.
to help
Because
you, right?
I will tell you, she not only was Andy's caregiver, but she took care of me a few times when Stephen either had to be away. Just recently, my hernia surgery in November. Stephen didn't have a lot of time to take off, so Bridget came over for a couple of days, brought her laptop, did her work, and just sat here while I slept. And
Mhm.
I was very low maintenance. I didn't need anything, but Stephen felt better that someone should be here with me in case I needed to lift the
Very
milk
much
or
better.
whatever.
Yeah,
And so Bridget
right.
was the first one to raise her
Nice.
hand, and she came and sat with me for a day or 2 days. I don't remember now, but yeah, so she really is a good friend.
So I would tell my younger self,
Yeah.
that you can do this. You're stronger than you think.
Yes.
Mhm.
It one day at a time. Oh my God, one day at a time.
Nice.
Because if you start catastrophizing, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to make you just one day at a time.
Mhm.
Good. All right. You want
Really good. Sure. Let's start the lightning round. What is
Okay.
your one word that describes hope?
I guess faith, even though I'm not, belief that I will be with him again in some way. So I don't know if that's one, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, belief.
Yes.
Belief.
Belief.
What is one word that you would use to describe Andy?
Oh my God.
There's many.
Yes.
You can't say horse head.
That are funny.
Oh, I was going to say funny. Laid back. Yeah.
Nice.
Laid back.
Yeah, good one. Yeah.
One thing that makes you smile every time.
Oh goodness. His love for Anna and how great a dad he
Oh.
was. He was such a great dad.
True that.
But yet at the same time, I'm grieving for myself losing Andy. A big part of my grief is for that my daughter lost him.
Yes, right.
And that's hard to
Gotta be
deal with.
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What is one thing you're looking forward to?
I'd love to be a grandmother.
You are
My-
a grandmother.
Yay.
Well, oh yes, to Jodi.
Oh my goodness.
My daughter and her boyfriend of 4 years bought a house together recently. So, I'd love to be a grandmother someday, but I'm not, there's no pressure on my daughter.
That's
We
a
consider
perfect-
her Miller's grandmother. And in fact, she's already had a grandmother visit.
Yeah.
And so
That's awesome.
like Anna is my daughter, Danielle is Bridget's daughter, and by default, she gets a grandson. So
There you go.
he may not be by birth, but he is.
Nice.
Yeah.
And our last question, after everything you've been through, Bridget, what does it mean to be a kind heart, strong soul?
It feels good to know that I survived emotionally and physically, and that tells me that I can survive anything that will come my way. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And
Okay,
thank you
so
for
I-
everything you do for
Yeah.
Jodi from
Yeah.
Ken and
Oh,
Brenda.
Thank you for
Oh,
being
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
friend.
I
We-
love Jodi
we
so
try,
much.
yeah, we try to get together. Well, in the summertime, it seems like we get together a little bit more, but at least once a month or every other week or something, we'll stay in touch and
Do
at least
something
kind
fun.
of, yeah.
Jodi says I'm her fun friend.
She is my fun. She's my
Oh, good.
my fun mom friend. That's
Yeah, her mom friend.
her mom
yeah.
friend. So yeah. And as we've been doing with every podcast, we'd like to end it with honoring the soldiers that we've lost in Iran. So with great respect, honor, and gratitude, I'd like to honor Cody Cork, Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Noah Tejans, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, Sergeant Declan Cody, Jeffrey O'Brien, Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marsden, Major John Klinner, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, Captain Ariano Savino, Tech Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, Captain Seth Koval, Captain Curtis Angst, and Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons.
Thank
Rest
you,
in peace,
Jodi. Yeah,
soldiers.
rest in peace.
Well, thanks, ladies. That was very moving to listen to, and I appreciate all those things that were said. Two things sort of pop out in my man mind that I wanted to share. One is getting your home tested for radon,
Mm,
which
mm.
is an easy thing to do.
Yep.
It's not like they have to back up a truck and lift your house off the foundation or anything.
Oh, you get the test kit through the state for free.
Yep, there you go. And we have similar in New Hampshire where I live. So I would urge you, if you're in one of those areas where that's a risk, to take those steps. The other thing that stood out was DNR and advanced directives and that sort of thing. I find that a lot of folks put them off.
Yeah.
I happen to just complete mine, and I have I'm not intending to leave the earth anytime soon or anything. It just happened to be that my family was going to be together for another event, and I wanted to get them all in the same room and hear from my voice. So I would urge any of you that are over 55, or maybe I've been told legally anybody over 18 actually should be considered doing these documents. They're not hard to do. They do force you to think things through.
Yes, they do.
And that's a really important thing. And in my case, I'm somebody that wanted to sort of protect my immediate loved ones, my wife and my girls, from making any of those really difficult decisions. I had to do them for my parents.
Yeah.
So I appointed somebody from outside my family, a friend of mine. But however you choose to do it, it's really important that you get it done, because without those things in place, in the hardest times of life, they can seem a little harder. So if I could encourage our audience in that way.
Yeah.
And let's have a word of prayer together. Father in heaven, we're so grateful for your goodness in our lives. We're grateful for our friends. And so, we thank you for the depth of friendship that Jodi enjoys with Bridget, and all that means to them, and the way they can be a supportive voice in one another's lives in times of need and in times of rejoicing too, because our friends don't just come alongside to cry with us, they come alongside to laugh with us. So we thank you so much for them. And we thank you that sort of has gone and extended into Anna and Danielle too, and ask that you would be with them. We do thank you for the care that Bridget exhibited for Andy, and just the wonderful way that she supported him in his end of life times. And we thank you for all the love she feels for him that's still evident in her voice as she speaks of him. So we ask that you would be with her and minister to her spirit, and give her more comfort in those memories that she has. Father, for all of us, we pray that we would be good friends. We pray that we would be the kind of folks that are able to come alongside and just maybe not with anything profound to say, but just to be a presence and remind us that being a presence is a big deal. So help us with that. And finally, we pray that when we are in times of need, that we would have the courage to ask for help. We know that for many, it's hard. And for many, admitting that they're in a place of need is difficult. And but there's just no judgment in it. And so, Lord, we ask that you would soften our hearts in that regard. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for the friendship that those of us that are here among the four of us that we enjoy. And we ask that you would continue to guide and bless our lives. We ask it in the name of Jesus Christ with thanksgiving. Amen.
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 From our kind hearts to your strong souls, thank you for listening. Your support helps us share hope. So please leave a rating, leave a like, or subscribe to the podcast and share frequently. Peace be with you and God bless you all.